In today's video, we will be looking at all the basics of molecules and the chemical formula. Starting off, these are the various topics just mentioned. First and foremost, symbol of elements. Why do we even need to know about the symbol of elements? This is just for easy representation of elements. In case of symbols, it's just going to be one letter or maximum two letters, which would be easier to write instead of writing the entire name of the element or the compound. So the symbols, they were derived from the English as well as the Latin names of the elements. It's like a few of the elements, when they started naming it went from their English name, and few of them, when they were discovered, it was from the Latin name, so that there's no overlap between both the elements symbols. So in this first slide, which you can see, it is all the English names starting with hydrogen and up to krypton. You see that the first column, everything has just the first letter of the element itself, and the second and the other columns, you see that it has a second letter, which could be either the second letter of the actual word or some other letter from that particular word. For example, neon is Ne, helium is He, bromine is Br. On the other hand, we have manganese, zinc and magnesium, which have the first and the third letter, so on and so forth, and all these symbols are derived from the English names directly. And in this slide, we see that there are other elements whose names are derived from the Latin names. So we see Na, it stands for sodium because its Latin name is natrium. Potassium is represented by K because its Latin name is kalium, so on and so forth. Now talking about molecules. Molecules, as we know, it is also the smallest particle of matter, and it is formed when a group of two or more atoms, they chemically bond together. And molecules, they are electrically neutral. They do not have a positive or a negative charge. And we can have molecules of elements and molecules of compounds. How are they different now? Molecules of elements, they are formed when two or more similar atoms chemically bond together. For example, in case of hydrogen gas, it is made up of H2 molecules. And in the case of molecules of compounds, they are simply formed when two different atoms, they combine together chemically. In the case of water, represented by H2O, it is formed when hydrogen atoms and oxygen atoms chemically bond together. Once we've understood what are molecules, we need to understand that in case of elements, in their natural state, they do not occur as just atoms. Few of them combine together to form molecules and occur in their molecular state. And this molecular state can also be represented using a molecular formula. This formula will have two parts to it: the symbol, which represents the element, and then we have the subscript below the element, which will represent the number of atoms of that element present in one molecule. For example, in the case of hydrogen gas, we have H2 molecules, which means one molecule of H2 contains two atoms. Similarly, we have O2, N2, Cl2, Br2, indicating two atoms of bromine is present in one molecule of bromine. In case of phosphorus and sulfur, we have 4 atoms of phosphorus and 8 atoms of sulfur occurring for these respective elements' natural state. Next, we talk about molecular compounds. In case of elements in nature, they may occur in the molecular form. Similarly, we may have molecular compounds occurring as well. A good example is water, whose formula is H2O. So from this formula, we understand that the symbols represent the elements present, and the subscript will represent its atoms present for that particular element. And one more point to be noticed is that if there is any number present in front of these compounds, that will be multiplied by each individual element and its subscript. For example, H2O, in front of it there is no number, which indicates that it's simply 1. So one molecule of water just has H2O, 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. On the other hand, if you look at 2H2O, the number 2 gets multiplied with H2 as well as O. So that gives us 4 hydrogen atoms and 2 oxygen atoms, and you read it as 2 molecules of water. These are the other examples of the various molecular compounds that you may encounter. the ones which are familiar to us are CO2, carbon dioxide. The word di comes from two oxygen atoms. We have sulfur dioxide, again SO2, two atoms of oxygen. Anything two will be called di. Then we have HCl, hydrogen chloride. We have carbon tetrachloride, CCl4. Carbon stands for C, chloride is Cl, and tetra indicates anything which has 4 atoms. We will look in the next video how to derive these molecular compounds formula in detail, how we have this particular number of atoms coming in place of each of these elements. So stay tuned till the next video. Hope you found the video useful. Like, share, comment, and follow me on Study with Saf. Thank you.